Assalamu alaikum viewers, welcome to season 2 of my talk show segment of Up Doha, which is now being named as In Spotlight with me, your host Zunira. And in Spotlight with me today is a man with a hard-hitting motto of doing things what others want so that one day he can do what they can't. He's all set with an ambition to conquer the FIM Quad World Championship title in all sort of aspects. This Qatari lad has it all that takes to impress. Firstly, the athletic side of rally raid hero. He has stunned us with his cosmopolitan talents. He is presently unstoppable by having already conquered several national level titles, including Enduro and Quad Cross. He is also a founder of OX Fitness Lab Qatar and is one of the best quad rider of the moment. So viewers, finally I present and proudly welcome the rising sportsman of Doha, Qatar, Mohamed Abuissa. So hello Mohamed and welcome to my show.
Thank you very much. Good evening everyone and thanks for having me on your show. I've heard a lot about what's up Doha, so it's an honor and a pleasure for me to be here.
Glad. So how are you doing today?
Yeah, today we're good. We're just in the phase of signing my new deal and my new racing season for the Dakar Rally on January 1st. So we got some good news today and that's why I'm pretty happy.
So would you like to share the good news with our viewers?
Yes, we're signing with Mini it's the best rally team in the Dakar Rally 2017. So we've done some testing with them in Morocco 2-3 weeks ago. It went really well. It's one of the best. It's the best brand out there today in the rally scene, and for me it's an amazing experience for me to have a ride in the best team for my first time in the Dakar Rally. So they believe in me and I believe in them, and I think it's a good combination for both of us.
Wow. And achieving this much, so much of pressure on your shoulders at such a young age, how do you feel about it?
Of course it's pressure and not at the same time. You know, for me it started with what I wanted to do. You know, I never set a goal, and I do set goals, but this was something I dreamt of, and I always loved it. And for me, it's a passion, and it's not something that's you know, it's not a burden on me. And it's the pressure. Yes, sometimes I do get pressure, but for me, I do what I love, and I always give it.
You're representing Qatar everywhere, and of course, it's the pressure there.
That's one pressure that I face. But alhamdulillah, I've been doing okay so far. I had a few ups and downs moment, but. For me, since I started, I've had good results, alhamdulillah, and I've raised the flag more than once, so
yeah, mashallah, that's great. So how did the passion actually start it? When you were a child, who encouraged you, and why choosing only this quad racing area, whereas I believe that Qataris are more into football? Well,
I grew up actually horse riding, and my rebellious side took me to motorbikes when I was younger. So I've been riding quads since I was a kid, and everyone in Qatar likes the desert and likes off-road racing, and believe it or not,
we have a lot of dunes we have here.
Exactly, and we have a lot of hidden talent. And for me, I just wanted to take it a step further and to see where I can come in off-road racing, because I've been riding, driving, and living in the desert for a long time. So I wanted to take it to the next step. I started with local championships, Middle East, and then I went into the World Cup events, which I did really well in. I won my first one. So for me it was amazing, and obviously Dakar Rally, which another bigger step, and I didn't even think twice. I got accepted, and I went straight for it. I won the junior category in the Dakar Rally in my first go, and I came 4th overall with an injury. I had just crashed a month and a half before.
Yeah, I read about that as well. Yeah.
So yeah, for me it's like I said, things happen, and the more you work for it, and the more you can achieve.
So where the inspiration came from? Were in your family somebody was following this, or you're the first one?
No, for me actually it started as I wanted to find an excuse to ride quads.
Okay.
And taking it professional is one of them. Okay. And then I realized it was way harder than I thought. You know, when you ride your quad in the dunes here in Qatar on the weekend for 20 minutes, it's easy. But when you start racing, there's a lot of work behind it, a lot.
And I believe you're the first quad racer for going into the international level in Doha.
Yeah.
There's nobody else.
No, not in Qatar. No one has done the Dakar Rally or you know some World Cup events, yes, but not the Dakar Rally.
Not the Dakar Rally.
No.
Yeah. Okay, that's great. So, anything else you would like, the hardship that you took when you were getting trained for this? Tell me about your journey.
Well, of course, when I started, I had no one to kind of follow. You know, so it was a new experience for me, for my parents as well. So I had to learn the hard way. We all were new in this field. Physical education, physically you had to be ready for altitudes, for temperatures, for 14 hours on a quad. And it's not easy. And
this heat, oh my God.
Yeah, the heat. With the heat training, alhamdulillah, I'm ready for that. Okay. But it's the cold temperatures.
So you guys were trained according to the weather and everything here?
Of course, altitude training and cold training and heat training, all that. So obviously in the beginning I didn't have that, and I had to discover it on my own, how to eat, how to sleep, how to do all these things. And it was a big learning curve for me, and I think this is why it took me this far.
And how supportive were your family members towards this?
Of course, in the beginning, they're not, they don't like the idea, not the success or not the, but when they see you working day in, day out, and that's your passion and your dream, well, parents will always support. And people that tell me that parents don't support these kind of things is incorrect, because once you prove to yourself and you prove that you're actually taking it seriously with the right safety measures and all that, then they'll automatically start, you're their kid, you know, they will support you, whatever you do.
They will. What age you started actually?
I started riding when I was 5 years old.
5 years old?
Yes.
Oh my God, that's way young.
Yeah, it is young.
Yeah.
But I started racing at the age of 18. 17, 18, that was my first race in summer actually. And that was the first race, it was not in Qatar, it was in the UAE. I came 14th, I remember, in the local championship. So.
And how many were in total?
20, 25 almost. And obviously it was not a great result.
Still, no, but amongst them, of course, you still made the name.
Yeah, and I learned, you know, people usually quit. It's very demotivating to lose. So people quit, and I stayed there, and I kept pushing and training and focusing on getting the machine right, myself, and alhamdulillah, and I reached where I wanted to reach in the club.
I was about to come to this point at the times of failure, when you fail, you know, and when you feel like, oh my God, this is not what I expected from myself. How did you handle that situation?
In some cases it was very difficult, and others it was a lot easier. It depends. If I'm optimistic, but at the same time I'm realistic. So I don't aim usually for, I know where I'm gonna finish, more or less. So for me it was disappointing when obviously I had a crash, or when I do something that I shouldn't have done, or a mistake like that. Yes, I don't like that, because crashing is part of racing and stuff like that. But if I finish in a position that's not very good, but I was aiming to finish a race or to do well and improve, any improvement is, for me, is a success. And that's why you shouldn't demotivate yourself. And everyone started at the bottom, you know, so for me it was normal. Very
well said. And during the crash, like after that, what kind of recovery you went through, and what was it actually?
The crash.
Was it a huge crash?
It was, I had a few, but I had a few crashes. But one of my biggest ones was right before my Dakar Rally.
Oh my God.
So it was 7 weeks before the race, and I had a big crash in Morocco. I was leading the World Championship, and then I crashed, and I lost it by a few points.
Oh my God.
And I broke several bones, my arm, my ribs, I got a concussion, and doctors said I couldn't race for another 4 to 6 months, and 7 weeks later I was in the Dakar Rally, the hardest race in the world.
Oh my God.
So I had a cast on, I had to remove it, and did recovery. I worked so hard to get my muscle back, because obviously, you know, when you break bones. And alhamdulillah, the first few days were horrible. It was so difficult to hold on even to the bike. My arm was a lot smaller than the other one.
Oh,
but alhamdulillah, the team understood, and they helped me with the machine, the development of the machine, to make it easier to ride. And not as fast though, but then alhamdulillah I finished actually in 4th and first in the junior category. So for me, that said that nothing's impossible.
Yeah.
And if you want to do something, you can
achieve that.
Yeah.
But still, that was a high risk for you that time.
Yeah, of course. It was high risk, and parents obviously weren't okay with it. Doctors were not happy with it, but I knew that I was in a difficult situation, and that's what actually kept me going. You know, in a rally, it's a world where confidence can sometimes bite you quite hard. So having your confidence quite low sometimes is a good thing.
Yeah, you never know what you end up with.
Exactly.
Yeah. So who were your moral supporters during that time? Would you like to mention somebody?
Yeah, my family, of course. The first ones that supported me were my family, my father, my siblings.
Okay.
Were always there for me, but you know, like they look at it from the outside, and from what they see, they actually give really good tips, and I listen to them a lot. And one of my main strengths, I think personally, is I listen. I listen a lot to other riders, to experienced riders, and I listen to my family, and it's always important to do that.
Any of your inspiration in the same field, that you idolize that personality, that I want to become like him?
I take strengths from each person and I make my own, you know.
Own personality, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm inspired by the achievements of this guy and the technique of that guy. And so there's not one particular person that I look up to. My brother was the first guy to teach me how to ride.
So he's also in the same field?
No, he wasn't. He did it for fun. But when I was younger, he taught me how to ride and dunes. And it was very important. You know, the basics are important. And he's the one that created this love for the sport, and that's why when I race, I feel like he's racing as well, because he's stressed and he's following and he knows all the details. So
and he must be looking at you like, you know, his own ambitions.
Yes, of course. He would. I think he would have liked to race as well.
Yeah. So one of any of your most thrilling experience so far?
The Dakar Rally, I'll say.
Dakar Rally.
It's undescribable. It's out of this world, and it literally puts someone in a position where he thinks it's impossible, and you actually achieve it. And if you look at statistics, you know, doing 1,100 kilometers a day or 900 kilometers a day off-road in the sun and the heat and the cold, it's practically impossible. For practice, to do the exact same distances and the same speed, you wouldn't be able to do it in practice. It's the pressure of the Dakar Rally, the fans, the 5 million fans. It's incredible. So that alone, I think, is one of my biggest experiences. My first one especially. And biggest achievement as well. Yes, for sure.
So then after that, jumping into investment and becoming an entrepreneur as well, mashallah, a successful entrepreneur, I would say. So like, why did you thought of that?
Two reasons. First of all, my family business. I've always been passionate about business. And it's something I was going to eventually come into. And I didn't want it to be nice next phase after racing. I want it to be in parallel to my racing.
Okay.
So that's one thing I want to make clear. That I'm not phasing out of racing. I'm actually going even harder now.
Okay.
And so business for me was always super interesting, and I always wanted to start something myself. I didn't want to take over a business that my father created or my grandfather in this case created. So I've created this concept of OX Fitness Lab inspired by the difficulties I have personally faced in getting prepared for the rallies. And that's where the inspiration came from.
Why do you call it a lab, OX Fitness Lab?
That was a big discussion we've had.
Okay.
For me, it's not
because it's not a club kind of a thing. It's not a gym kind of a thing.
It's not a gym. For me, it does have a gym within it, but it's a lab because we kind of use science and all these things to actually study our customer or our athlete, because we have both, and we develop a full package. We look at nutrition, we look at health, one of the very important aspects no one looks at, and the training schedule. So we have to go through the nutrition, first of all, examinations that we do, and then we go into the health. And the health assessment doesn't mean if someone is in very good health, we have to also check what he's good at, what his weaknesses are, in order to prevent. We're not doctors, we just prevent injuries.
Okay.
So weak lower backs, weak core, if someone has had an injury 10 years prior to that, he'll always have weaknesses in that area. So those are the things we monitor, and that report goes to the trainers, and the trainers have to take that into consideration in training their clients.
Oh, it's a clinic kind of a procedure.
Yes, but then again, we're not doctors. So we have chiropractors, we have therapists.
But they must be specialists, right?
Of course, they are specialists. They've worked in professional teams, rugby teams, rally teams. They've done the whole thing, and look, in the rally world, probably there's not one rider that's never broken a bone or doesn't have an injury. So it's normal for people to have back pain, or even if you're sitting on a desk, if you have a desk job, your posture changes. So all these are problems that we have to encounter in OX Fitness, and to prevent future injuries. Because once someone's injured, we can't personally, obviously, help them, but we know how to prevent, or we try and prevent.
And I think in Doha, in Qatar, there are a lot of back problems and people face so many issues.
Yeah, of course.
So what do you have to say on that? Like, how can we improve in this scenario?
It's education, and we're getting there. We all grew up in this society, where a lot of office work, I mean, most of the world is like this. So sitting in an office is one bad thing to do. Obesity, unfortunately, is another problem we have in this country, that everyone, I think the whole country is working hard to
there's so many ways to fight out.
Exactly, and the government has helped so much with obesity, with the free surgeries that they do for Qataris, which I find amazing. You know, we don't have that anywhere in the Middle East. We do that here in Qatar. So we're learning very fast. We're one of the countries that are learning from our mistakes extremely fast. Alhamdulillah, with everything we have and the leaders that we have here, we're actually moving forward with this.
Even me, I'm born, brought up here, and I've seen the immense transformation of this country from my eyes, you know.
Yes.
So that's amazing how Qatar is growing, mashallah. Let's talk more about OX Fitness Lab.
Yeah.
So anybody can join that, if even female or male, if there is no categories for that?
Yeah.
Or?
As a client, of course, anyone can join. There's a female designated area and a male designated area.
Okay.
And, so
and for female, do you have female specialists or
yes,
somebody?
Of course.
There?
We have female specialists. We're actually growing as the whole company grows. So we do have half male and half female therapists and trainers and so on. Yeah, it's an application for as an athlete program. We have to study the case and see which kind of athlete you take on. It depends on the restrictions he has with his team or stuff like that. But as a client, anyone is welcome to join, and we have to go through the steps. You cannot bypass the physical and medical test that we have. So that's one thing that I'm very strict on. A lot of clients are like, it's okay, I'll do it later. We don't do that. We don't.
You have to do it right away.
Exactly. Yeah. We want to do it right.
So what kind of challenges you faced, you know, investing in OX Fitness Lab, and anything in specific you would like to mention?
Of course, business is difficult, but alhamdulillah, I've seen my father and my brother and all my family go through that.
It was in blood.
Yeah, I've anticipated the problems. And to be very honest with you, we've tackled normal problems, but not major problems. Obviously, delays in construction and business plan, and obviously the financial forecast that you think you can get, but these are extremely normal. But and so obviously adapting my concept into reality, when you have an idea, it sounds a lot better in your head.
And it's completely a unique idea that nobody has come up with.
Yes, exactly. And once you have it in reality, and to educate the client on this new idea, it's a challenge. I think that's a major challenge.
So are you also dealing the clients, or no, you're not there?
Not day to day. I'm there training.
Okay.
Because I built it also for myself to
get training.
Yeah, so I meet all the clients. We're like a family there. It's like a small community. We all help each other. I have childhood friends that are members there. I have business partners that are members there. I have everyone in Doha. Like, it's nice. I go there and I see my friends more often now.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
So where is it located in Doha?
OX Fitness is located on the second floor of the Gate Mall in West Bay. It's the old Salam, which is now the Gate Mall. It's a good location. It's between towers. People usually pop in for lunch breaks as well. We have lunch break workouts. It's nice. It's 20 minutes or 30 minutes. And weekend classes and stuff like that. So it's quite cool and nicely located.
Great. So what vision do you have with OX Fitness Lab? Where do you see it next coming years?
Qatar has been through, like in the 80s and 90s, we've been invaded with franchises. Everyone wants to bring a franchise into the country. And I think Qatar has the potential to take franchises out. And this is one of my goals, is to be, well, some of them have done it, but to take a local franchise in the fitness industry and take it abroad and to show the world that look what we can produce in Qatar.
Okay, that's great. Mohammed, where have you completed your education? Like all your education is based in Doha, or?
No, I went to the French school, the Lycée Français in Qatar, the French school.
French school,
yes.
Wow. That's again a very different thing.
Yes, different.
Otherwise, normally Qataris don't go.
Yes, I was different. We were very few Qataris there.
Okay.
So I graduated at the age of 18 with a baccalaureate in the French school. And then I moved to the UK to do my business degree.
Okay.
But I was racing in parallel, so my university was very supportive actually in the racing field. So I took less subjects and I was able to go race, and they were supportive of me, and I would study sometimes abroad while I'm racing and then do my exams once I'm back. And to be honest, the uni, I'll always have the soft spot for it because they really support, and not a lot of unis would support sports that's different to football or basketball or rugby in the UK. So and I graduated with honors, and so I'm pretty happy.
So mashallah, you're an all-rounded person.
Yeah, you're not.
Otherwise, you know, we keep on telling children if they are focused more on sports, they will lose the focus on studies.
Never, 100%. That's incorrect. There are a lot of. There's a lot of. No offense, it's just not that. It's a lot of universities support professional football. There's in France, in the UK, and Qatar soon, inshallah, where you cannot stop someone from getting his education, and there's always time for education in sports. So in case something happens, or in case he wants to do a business on the side, or he wants to be an employee or a part-time employee, you always have to have an education. In today's world, it's one of the pillars of life, and for me it gives me comfort and confidence in racing, because it doesn't give me that much pressure. If something happens to me in the racing world and I can't race anymore, I have something to fall back on. Whereas if you didn't have an education, I would be stressed and I would be so focused on the racing, and I wouldn't be as comfortable.
That's great. But how did you manage both the things?
It was
together?
difficult. Like I said, support. It took me time. I graduated in 4.5 years instead of 3.
Okay.
Because I had to drop some subjects and I had to cram my classes in 2 days of the week. So full days, and then the 5 days I'll travel, race here and there. But it's possible. And trust me, it was tiring, but now to think about it, they were amazing days.
Yeah.
And I wish I could go back, because you really change moods. You're in a city, you're in London, you're in like an amazing city, and then suddenly you're in the desert in Morocco or in Argentina, and you're back into the city again. So it was amazing. We traveled a lot, Sebastian and I. We went every weekend. We traveled France and Dubai and Argentina and Chile and Peru. We've done the whole world basically. And
so Sebastian is with you since
my university. When I realized that I had to do both, studying and racing, I needed help. That's for sure.
Of course.
And then there's no shame in saying that. And like he took a lot of weight off my shoulders in terms of organization, travel, like talking to sponsors, arranging all the schedules. So he was a team manager and also a good life coach.
So Mohamed, tell me more about your future goals. What more you have to accomplish?
I haven't set any specific ones, but of course winning the Dakar Rally is one of my big achievements. Taking my company international is another big achievement. Now I've moved from quads to cars, is one of my main goals initially.
And why have you moved to cars?
The industry is bigger.
Okay.
The quad industry, the companies they've stopped producing or development.
Okay.
So obviously all the research and development for race vehicles in the quad industry has kind of died, and I think if I had stayed in that category, I would have also gone down. So I'm young. I'm the youngest rider in the top teams today. So for me, I'm a few years ahead. I have a few years of practice to go. The Dakar Rally is a rally that's only won by the experienced drivers. No one has ever won it the first at least 3 times they've participated in, because it's it's a long race, it's endurance, it requires maturity. And alhamdulillah, the quad helped me a lot, because I race on the same terrains, I read the same maps. So for me also that gave me an edge. And on the quad I knew I was good. I never had a car that's super powerful to practice on, but I had a quad. So that's why I went there, and then that was my stepping stone to move to the cars. And also I created a name for myself before moving into the car category. So today was actually my official signing with Mini, which was amazing news for me. I'm sponsorless today, but inshallah soon I'll be with my sponsors. And yeah, I have 3 months to go.
For the next race.
For the next race. So I have time to practice, to work out in OX now.
And it will be your first car race, right?
My first Dakar Rally. I've done Morocco, but it was still not official. We were still testing and doing things like that, but now officially there's a press conference, there's like the whole media campaign for the Dakar Rally in the Mini Cooper. So starting tomorrow, we're going to start working on that, and inshallah move from there.
So which is more dangerous? Like, was the quad racing more dangerous, or the car?
Of course, they're both dangerous. Now a car, you have a roof over your head, They say with age comes a cage, so at least now you're covered.
Yeah.
And I just got recently married, so
oh yes.
For me,
no more eligible bachelor now.
Yeah, for me, the quad, you tend to break more bones on a quad. A big accident is always a big accident in both, but they're both dangerous, and I've had my fair share of injuries on the quad. But alhamdulillah, the more you fall, the more you learn, and
that's tough.
That's tough, yeah, but it's part of the game.
So every time when you're ready for the race, what kind of feelings you have?
It's a horrible feeling.
I want you to explain it. Like, what kind of things are going on in your head? Do you think about other matters, or only races focused, right?
Of course, only races. You try to focus on the race, and then sometimes at some points when you want to meditate, you want to forget, you want to zone out. But everything starts coming through your head. Mechanical, am I ready? Did I train enough? Did I? You start thinking, you're getting paranoid. But once you start the race, everything goes away. You start focusing on your racing. I hate the week before the race. I like day 1, and I like the finish even more.
The finishing day. Okay. How do you define success?
Success, it's very different for different people. Each one has his own definition of success. Mine personally is self-satisfaction. That's one important thing. So if you put a goal and you've achieved it, for me that's being successful, and being happy with what you're doing. A lot of people have ideas and have dreams, but it's not only it's nice to have dreams, it's nice to achieve them.
Yeah.
So that's, for me, success is giving to the community, giving to your family, succeeding in what you do, and trying your best at it. And sometimes you might fail at the task, but at least you've tried your best, and I think that's a success on its own.
You mean that even failures are your
of course. Failures
steps towards success?
Trust me, rallying will teach you that failures are actually a big part of success, because no one will ever win without failing. It's such a difficult sport, and many things in life, I'm sure. People have failed many times before and have succeeded today. So failure is very important, and it shouldn't put people down. It actually should encourage them. They can't go worse, so they can only go forward.
Beautifully said. How do you see the future of sports in Doha?
It's the booming industry, I think. It's sports, the future. Sports and health is the future. The government has given us such a nice platform for all young entrepreneurs and athletes to work on. We have everything we want, the best hospital, we have the best everything. And so for me, I think it's the future in business and in pleasure and in everything. And Qatar, I think, is the icon of sports now in the world.
What kind of transformations have you seen in the same industry of sports here in Doha? Like since your childhood towards today?
Everything. First, football, of course. Qatar not only invested in teams. People think Qatar tends to buy good teams. No, we're developing athletes within the country. Mu'taz Barsham is one of them. He's a local. He was born and bred in Qatar, trained in Qatar, and he's an Olympic athlete. And I think his silver medal was amazing, and I think he deserves the gold, and he could have gotten it. Maybe it wasn't his day, but I know he will get it. And he's one out of many to come, inshallah. And they're all born and bred in Doha. And football, they're improving so much on an international level. They're going to many sports. It doesn't take, you can't change it overnight.
Of course, it takes
generations
time.
And generations of people to succeed.
And I think young generation is more aware of these things, and they're more into this field.
We will see changes. We will see changes quicker than we think, and it's already in the process.
Okay, my last question to you, Mohamed. Mohamed Abuissa, a better rider or a better entrepreneur?
I don't know. I've had a head start with one, 7 years to the other, so it's unfair to say.
So quad racer has
for now, I've achieved more, but I'm so proud of OX, and I'm so proud of that, to take an idea like this and to make it a reality. So yes, quad racing was a path that I chose, and I followed a certain path. OX is you know, it's like a blank page, and I did it, and a lot of people said it wouldn't work. Alhamdulillah, mashallah, it's working. So each one has its own, joy.
Very well said. Mohamed, one last message or advice for the youth watching you right now, our viewers. So many people are watching you and getting inspiration from your words. So anything you would like to advise them? For me, it's all about go for it, and literally some dreams seem very impossible when you're 18, 17, but trust me, it's more achievable than you think. For me, it was the same case, and you feel kind of embarrassed in the beginning when you fail, but there's nothing to be embarrassed about. Literally just go for it, and you live in a community and in a country in Qatar where it helps you so much to achieve your goals, and I think you should just go for it and try and get to achieve your dreams. Mohamed, thank you so much. It was completely a pleasure having you on my show today. Thank you so much for being on the show. Thank you guys so much for everything. It's a wonderful thing you guys are doing here, honestly. Oh, thank you. Well, this is a small gift from our sponsors, Perry Gallery, for the guests coming on my show. Thank you so much. So viewers, this is it for today. This was Mohamed Abuissa sharing his amazing journey of being a quad rider into an investor and then a successful entrepreneur of Doha. Hopefully, you must have enjoyed the interesting conversation that I had with him as much as I did. Take a lot of care of yourself. Until my next interesting episode, goodbye.